So friends, we're so grateful to have Rabbi Sam Gordon with us, our neighbor, literally a couple blocks to the west at Sukkat Shalom, a congregation with whom we're an interfaith partner and engage in various ministries together, have even done a few shared worship services. So Sam, thanks so much for being with us today.
It's an honor to be with you, and particularly during this time of holiness that is so powerful for all of you. Tonight actually is the celebration of Purim for us, which is the reading of the scroll of Esther. But at the same time, we are also anticipating our key worship and sacred event, which is Passover, which is also coming up very soon.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, our faiths have so many touching points. It's such a gift to be in relationship with you, and prayers for you all tonight as you celebrate Purim. Rabbi Sam, during the season of Lent in our church, we're focusing on the theme, the way to Shalom, a Lenten journey of peace and wholeness. And I wonder, as our interfaith partner and neighbor at Sukkat Shalom, we'd love to hear more about Jewish concepts of Shalom. What does it mean in Jewish history and thought? What does it look like in your own community?
Well, as you know, the name of our congregation is Sukkat Shalom, a sukkah of peace, a sukkah which is the temporary structure that's put up during the Festival of Tabernacles in the fall, the Harvest Festival. A sukkah is a very fragile shelter. We build it with our own hands, but it has really no permanent walls or door, and it has no permanent roof. It is open to the sky. So it teaches us kind of about the fragility of peace itself. That's why we chose that name, a sukkah of peace, a shelter of peace, but a very precarious shelter. Our prayer, which we invoke on a daily basis, is in Hebrew, Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'Yimeru Amen. May the one who spread peace in the heavens bring peace on our earthly world. What does it mean to spread peace in the heavens? That, wouldn't you think that the heavens are peaceful?
Right.
And I think that the idea of shalom is not so much an absence of war or an absence of conflict, but you said it already: wholeness, completeness, harmony. And that as we look to the skies, and I was just looking at one of the projections back from Mars, and how extraordinary it is to look at the stars and look at the Milky Way from Mars, and to realize that as we think of God as creator, there is a harmony in the world, and that is the peace in the heavens. And we who live with disharmony on the earth look to the heavens maybe for some model.
Beautiful, beautiful. It reminds me of the Lord's Prayer that we, as you know, recite daily, frequently, where it talks about, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. It's sort of a similar call to bring heaven down to earth, as it were.
Well, indeed. In fact, there are those who believe that the Lord's Prayer would have been said by Jesus in Aramaic,
sure,
and would be very much the same as what we refer to as Kaddish.
Beautiful.
Yikadav Yikadash, may the glorified and sanctified be your name in heaven as it is on earth. So we share very much that sentiment in a prayer that may be a shared prayer.
Yeah, amen. Amen. I love that. We'll have to explore that further. I think that's there's so much resonance there, Sam. I wonder, you mentioned the pictures from the Mars exploration that NASA's running, but I think about our world today, and obviously, as we observe it, we can name a zillion examples, but from the detrimental effects, the widespread death of the COVID pandemic, to racial injustice, to hunger in our own city, and so on and so forth. We are far from God's vision of universal harmony, shalom, the presence of universal flourishing. So I wonder, again, from your tradition, what does it look like to be an instrument of shalom, in our everyday lives?
Well, I think the idea that each of us shares a responsibility, that we are partners in the act of creation. We are partners with the Eternal One. We are partners with God, that God created us in the Genesis story, we are the final act of creation of humans. And therefore, we are created to help complete the act of creation. The Genesis story, Genesis 1, is a story of creation from chaos. In the beginning, there was tohu vavohu, chaos, nothingness. And what the 6 days of creation allowed was for God to place the world in order. There was day and night, light and darkness, dry land and waters, everything separated into the places where they were supposed to be. Because you're a father of young ones, I'm a father and grandfather of young ones. We know that children don't do well with chaos, and neither do adults. And our world doesn't do well with chaos. And the story of Genesis 1 is God creating a world that was in order after the chaos. And again, thinking of the pictures coming back from Mars, to see the story of creation in those pictures, and to realize that there is order, but there's disorder in our world. And it's not just war or violence. It is disorder of environment. It's disorder of inequality. We see with COVID, the disparities in our society of who is able to get vaccinated and who's not, of disparities within America, disparities throughout the world. That's chaotic. That's not the order of harmony and tranquility that shalom represents. Shalom means wholeness. It doesn't mean not fighting.
Right.
It means that the world is complete and whole.
Thank you. Thank you. I wonder if you could speak as well to the lovely Sabbath greeting or Shabbat greeting that you often say to one another, Shabbat Shalom. Again, what is that conveying to one another and to your community as you say that?
I think in many ways it's still going back to the story of the creation of the 7 days of creation. That at the end of the 6th day, God saw that it was very good. And then the 7th day was a day to stop creating, was a day to create harmony. And that one of the images that resonates with me is that any artist or composer or author has to know at some point when the last word has been written, or when the last brushstroke, or when the last chisel and hammer has taken place, that the masterpiece is done, and you have to stop, and then you have to reflect. And that the model of God stopping creating and ending creation and pausing. And so at the end of the creation, after the cure or the healing of the chaos, you come to Shabbat, the 7th day, the Sabbath. And it is a day of peace. It is the contrast to chaos. It is the day that everything's supposed to kind of come together and make sense, at least for those 24, 25 hours. And I think that's why you wish everyone Shabbat Shalom as a greeting, a Sabbath that is peaceful, harmonious, tranquil, restful.
Right. Beautiful, beautiful. In our Lenten series, Sam, we're touching on different aspects of shalom, using this resource from our denomination, the Presbyterian Church USA. And I think it's 5 or 6 themes we're going to be touching on. And among them are justice and peace and healing and repairing and reconciling. I I wonder if there are any you might add, or if there are ways in which both of our faiths are wanting to sort of push back on the false peace, of the powers that be, whether here in our own midst or throughout the world. I remember some parts of the New Testament where the Apostle Paul, at least, is pushing back against the mantras of the empire, the slogans of the peace of Rome, which was a particular kind of peace, that benefited a particular segment of people and not all people. But I wonder about other aspects of peace that come to mind for you, or ways in which our faiths push back against kind of the slogans of peace that we sometimes hear that are kind of empty.
Right. Well, actually, there is a prayer in our Reformed prayer book that says, shake me up, oh God. Let me not just be complacent and satisfied, almost in a sense of being blinded to reality, because things are. I'll be honest with you. I've lived here for 40 years. It's wonderful to live on the North Shore. It's wonderful to be part of this community. But I think all of us have to know that we are very privileged, and that we cannot live behind walls. We cannot be blind to the world outside. One of my teachers says, and this is for the synagogue, if the walls of the synagogue are not porous enough to hear the cries from the street, the cries from within will not be heard on high.
Wow.
So that we have to use our time to, there has to be more of an inspiration to act. It's not a passive, peace is not passive. In rabbinic literature, in the Talmud, it says the sword comes into the world because of justice delayed and justice denied. And so there is a great lack of shalom, harmony, tranquility, wholeness in the world, and we have to be aware of that, and we have to do things. It's up to us to act in such a way to heal that brokenness.
Thank you, Sam. I wonder, as we close our conversation, Sam, if you might share a blessing or prayer of shalom with us.
Absolutely, and it was with what I opened with, and in fact is the conclusion of what is called Kaddish, which may well be the Lord's Prayer.
Oh, I'd love to talk further about this, by the way. We're going to do that.
There is more to talk about.
Yes,
but Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Huya Aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'Miru Amen. May the one who spread peace above in the heavens above us bring that peace and harmony to our world and to all people, as we say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Sam, for your time and for sharing your insights with us.
I'm always honored to be with you, always a delight to be with you. My wishes for this time of Lent, as well as for Easter and the hope that Easter brings of renewal, of new life, of spring, and in the midst of our carpet of snow, let us also look forward to the promise that spring brings to us.
Indeed, and a blessed Purim to you and your congregation tonight.
Thank you.
Upcoming Passover. We are grateful to be partners. So
always enjoy that.
Peace to you,
it means a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.